Yeah, baby, you did this one.
Yo, what is going on, y'all? It is your boy AT from AT's Barstool, and today I'm here on episode 17 of AT's Barstool. And if you guys are new to the channel, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And don't forget to follow my Barstool page. Link will be in the bio. But with that being said, I do also have a couple announcements as my t-shirts will be dropping soon. I will tell y'all date later on, but just know that my t-shirts will be dropping soon. And yeah, don't forget to look out for that. Also, another thing is don't forget that, not don't forget, but I also have my official summer cast roster, and it is going to officially be dropping May 25th on Sunday at 4 p.m. So don't forget to watch out for that. But with that being said, let's get into it. And now the first topic we are going to talk about here today is the Washington Commanders. As we all know that last week I made two videos, not one but two. I made a part one and part two of the schedule release, and I covered almost every team, and I mean almost, because the only team I didn't really cover was the Washington Commanders, which we ended up leaving off as the Washington Commanders end up getting left out of that video because I had a little power outage if y'all was watching that video live last week. And yeah, that was really it. But everything stopped working and all that. But everything's good now. My Chromebook's good. My camera's good. My mic is good, as you guys can see. Sorry about the little screech or whatever in the mic that y'all probably hearing on the other side. But I'm going to say this now. The Washington Commanders, they have been a really good team, and they have finished their season off last year 12-5, which was really surprising. And the team was led by none other than Jaden Daniels, and he carried this team all the way to the NFC Championship game where they lost 55-23 to the Philadelphia Eagles, a divisional rival, who's led by Jalen Hurts and has multiple really good players like A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and so on. The Eagles' defense was really good. But the Commanders had a really good season, and even though they went up to expectations, I honestly think that this Commanders team is probably going to have, I feel like they're going to have a better season. They could have a better season, 100%. And going over this schedule as their first three games, I feel like they're pretty much an easy cupcake, or it's a cupcake for them. As they play the New York Giants, a divisional rival, I already said that the Giants are going to lose to the Commanders week one, and I 100% think it's going to be the Commanders. Week one, I honestly think the final score is probably going to be a close one, 23-20. Feel like it's going to be a shaky start, especially for Jalen Daniels in the offense, coming off that 12-5 season, despite having a really good team and surprising everyone last year. I definitely think the Commanders are going to come back and win this game. And honestly, it is the first game of the season. First game jitters. But, we don't know how that's going to happen. But I feel like that it's going to be a close one. That's my opinion on the Giants and Commanders game. And then the next game is Green Bay. Green Bay, it's a week 2 game. They're going down to Green Bay. And I feel like that's going to be a win, probably the tougher out of the three opponents, or their first three opponents. I feel like they're going to also sneak out with a win, beating them 27-20. That's just my prediction on the score. Green Bay is a good team. They was another team who really surprised us, in Jordan Love taking them to the playoffs. That was pretty surprising itself, and they got knocked out in the divisional round, if I'm not mistaken. But other than that, though, week 3 they play the Las Vegas Raiders. They're going to be playing against Ashton Genty in that Raiders team, who also is led by Brock Bowers, who had a really good season for a tight end, having over 1,000 yards. If he can get a quarterback, he can be a really dangerous tight end, because you never really see a rookie tight end go over 1,000 yards. And Brock Bowers doing that in year 1 was really crazy. But we are here to talk about the Commanders and not the not Oakland Raiders, but the Las Vegas Raiders. I'll honestly say it's going to be a blowout, beating them 31-0, and I feel like the Commanders' offense is going to come alive. Not only that, the defense is going to come up big and allow 0 points. So I definitely say the Commanders beat the Raiders, and then I think the Falcons game, which is week 4, I highly think that game is going to be another blowout victory for the Commanders, probably high scoring. I see the Commanders putting up about 35, being Atlanta 35-17. That's my opinion. Jalen Daniels, that's going to be the one big game for him. I feel like he's going to throw about a good 3-4 touchdowns and just terrorize the Falcons defense, because the Falcons, their defense is mid-tier and not really the best outside of the secondary, or not the best, but their secondary is pretty good, and the rest of their defense is alright or mid tier. And Jalen Daniels, he has guys such as Scary Terry as wide receiver 1, and I 100% think that they would absolutely annihilate the Falcons. Then you got the Los Angeles Chargers. I feel like this is when they pick up their first loss. And I know it's crazy, but I feel like it's going to be surprising loss, as now the Chargers have Najee Harris now, and they still have Justin Herbert and have some really good receivers on top of that. So I 100% think, not really good receivers, but some pretty good receivers. But I 100% think the Chargers is going to step up big and be the first one to take the Commanders down, if not beat them by like probably 1 point, in my opinion, 14-13. That's just my opinion on the score. Then they go ahead and play against the Chicago Bears. They're going to play against Caleb Williams. We're going to see number 1 versus number 2 overall. We already know how it went down last year, where Jalen Daniels threw a Hail Mary and it got caught in the end zone for a touchdown at the final seconds, which was pretty crazy, and that derailed the Chicago Bears' pretty good start to the season, as they ended up going 4-13. Not that good. Other than that, I feel like the Commanders are going to do it again and beat the Bears 27-20. Once again, my prediction, and I definitely think it's going to be close. Bears definitely improved in the offseason, but I don't think they improved enough to beat the Washington Commanders. So they're going to be about 5-1. Then after that, they play Dallas. They go ahead, play the Cowboys. It is at home, not at home. It's at Dallas, and I feel like they are going to lose that game. That's going to be the second loss of the season. If we all know, the Dallas Cowboys got a really good receiving room now with CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, and I think we all know that the Cowboys are regular season warriors. This year they wasn't all that good, as not this year, but last season. They wasn't all that good, as they finished with a losing record, if not missed the playoffs, mainly due to the fact that Dak Prescott missed a crap load of time last year, and yeah, he was just injured for most of that season. But I feel like he will bounce back, and now he has George Pickens as wide receiver 2 with CeeDee Lamb at wide receiver 1. I definitely think this is going to be a dangerous duo, and they are going to go ahead and lose their first game. After that, they play Kansas City. Kansas City has fallen off. Well, not fallen off, but feel like Kansas City, this is probably the fall off of Kansas City Chiefs, as they might, and it can go either way, in my opinion. But I do think Kansas City is going to barely squeak out with this win, beating the Commanders 28-25, probably by a field goal. And the Chiefs defense was really good, and people don't understand how good that Chiefs defense was last year. They couldn't really do much against that Eagles offense during the Super Bowl, but for most of that season, the reason why the Chiefs won games because of their defense, despite Mahomes not having his best season. But I do think that Patrick Mahomes is going to bounce back next year, in my honest opinion. I think he's going to throw for about 4,500 yards to about 30 touchdowns and only 10 interceptions. That is my honest opinion about Patrick Mahomes and how he's going to do. But we are not here to talk about them. We're here to talk about the Commanders. And I highly think that Jalen Daniels is going to struggle against the Chiefs defense. Then the next games, I definitely think, well, not definitely think, but it's going to be Seattle. In Seattle, they're a pretty solid team. They did lose some key players such as DK Metcalf and Geno Smith in the offseason, but they still have guys like Kenneth Walker, and they also have now a new quarterback in Jalen Milroe. Either him or Sam Darnold is starting, which is pretty weird, but I honestly think no matter what, the Commanders is going to win this game, and I think we all know it. I feel like this is the game where the Commanders offense has a big spark and beat them 42-10. That is my opinion. I feel like the Commanders defense is going to absolutely ball out, forcing a couple turnovers from Stan Darnold or Jalen Milroe, whoever's starting, don't matter. And I definitely think that this Commanders team is going to be sitting 9 games into the season, 7-2, with their only losses, not 9-7, my bad. 6-3, my bad. I meant to say 6-3, mainly due to the fact they lose to the Chargers, Cowboys, and Chiefs all away games. Next, they play the Detroit Lions, and I feel like this is going to be their first home loss. Yes, home game that they're going to lose, and they drop down to 6-4 with a final score of 34-32. Last time the Lions played the Commanders surprisingly beat them, and Jalen Daniels went on a big playoff run. We all know it, but this year I feel like that the Detroit Lions is going to have their get back and beat the Commanders 34-32 this year or next season. And the Commanders dropped to 6-4. Pretty self-explanatory. This Lions team has a really good defense and good offense. Also, Aiden Hutchinson is going to be back and should be better than ever next time. He's back. Then we got the Miami Dolphins. The Dolphins, this is going to be an easy win. I think it is no doubt about it. I know it's the NFL, anything could happen, but I feel like this game is going to be a pretty easy win with a final score being 20-7. Honestly, the Commanders, their defense is going to once again step up, in my opinion. And I definitely feel like that the Dolphins' offense is not that good. And Mike McDaniel could possibly, if he has another losing record, he could possibly be on his last line, despite only being a head coach for a couple years now for this Dolphins team. But I really highly think that the Commanders are going to win this game, and it's not going to be close to begin with. So we're going to say 7-4. Then they got the bye week, chill, relax. Then after that, they go ahead and play Denver, a Bo Nix and Denver Broncos offense. I don't think that they are going to play bad. I definitely think they are going to play really well, and not only play really well, just absolutely annihilate, or not annihilate, but completely stop the Broncos offense. I feel like the final score is going to be about 14-0, maybe 14-6. Get lucky and score a touchdown. And the reason being that I think it's going to be a low scoring game, mainly because the Broncos defense, they had one of the best defenses in the NFL and had one of the best corners in this season, or this past season, in PS2, Patrick Surtain. I definitely think that this Broncos team is not going to hang with the Commanders, and Jaden Daniels is going to do enough to where they're going to put up more points than Denver. And not only that, I feel like the defense is going to do a lot better and put some more effort into beating this Broncos team. So I'll say about 8-4. Now they play the Minnesota Vikings. This will be a really good game. I definitely think this is going to be an offensive shootout, and I feel like the Vikings are barely going to come out. And this could be one of the best games, in my opinion, a game of the year, in my opinion, a possible one. Not going to say it is, but it's a possible one. And they are going to fall short, in my opinion, going 8-5. So then after that, they play the Giants again, and I feel like that's another win. But this time it is a shutout, beating them 24-0. It's the Giants. The Giants, their defense got a lot better, and their offense got a little bit better too. But I don't know. I just don't think that this offense is going to do that well against the Commanders defense. Even though the Commanders defense is not all that great, I still think the Commanders defense is good enough to hold a team like the New York Giants, whose offense is mid-tier right now looking. They have Malik Neighbors, who's a 1,000-yard rookie receiver, and they also have quarterback Russell Wilson, and they also have Jackson Dart backing them up. So it could honestly be anything happening, but I do think the Commanders is going to win this game. After that, they play Philly at Philly, and I 100% think they're going to lose this one. This is another game, and they dropped to 9-6 at this moment in time. I definitely think the Commanders are going to have a worse season because I feel like their schedule is tougher since Dallas got better, Minnesota, they look a little bit better, Detroit's still good, Kansas City still good, and yeah, and the Los Angeles Chargers, they look better than last year, I still 100% think that they are going to have a worse season. And I'm not down them in no kind of way, but I just think they're going to have a worse season. So yeah, 9-6. And then they play the Dallas Cowboys and Philadelphia Eagles, which the Eagles are not going to have their starters out there on the field at the time. And the Dallas Cowboys, I feel like they're going to get their get back from early on in the season and feel like they're going to win that game 34-24 while beating the Philadelphia Eagles 24-10, or the Eagles backups, as we say. So with that being said, my expectation is 11-6 this season. The highest I think they're going to do, or the best I think they're going to do, is 12-5, maybe 13-4, a little bit better. And the worst that they can possibly do is 8-9 and 9-8, barely making out or barely making the playoffs. In my honest opinion, this NFC East as a whole has gotten better as the Cowboys and Giants look a lot better than last year and definitely can compete. And other than that, though, we gotta see, man. And the Eagles are coming off a Super Bowl, and the Commanders are coming off an NFC Championship loss to the eventual Super Bowl champions and divisional rival Philadelphia Eagles. So this NFC East is going to be pretty wild and probably one of the best divisions in my honest opinion. But let's go to the Washington Commanders depth chart, and as we can see, their starting quarterback is Jaden Daniels, which we all know, the man himself. And then the two running backs in not Bijan, but Brian Robinson Jr. and Austin Eckler, who are pretty solid running backs. And they also have wide receiver Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuels. And as tight end, they have Zach Ertz. And the offensive line got better too. That's another thing. Larry Tunsil, and they also got Josh Carney Jr. as the right tackles and left tackle. And then on the defensive side of the ball, they got Deron Payne, Javon Kinlaw. They also have Frank Love, Bobby Wagner on this defense, and so on. They also have Marshawn Lattimore to play corner for them, which I think that was a big upgrade, getting him in free agency. And I 100% think this Commanders team is going to do a little bit worse, but I feel like they are going to go ahead, make the playoffs again, and possibly go back to the NFC Championship game. My opinion is they lose in the divisional round to either Detroit or Philly, but that's my opinion. And with that being said, on to the next thing. And now the next thing that we are going to be talking about is the DIAA Meet of Champions, which was not last week, but it was Tuesday, a couple days ago. You already know that I was there doing some interviews with some of the winners from the 4x4, 4x8, 100 meter, not 100 meter, but 200 meter, 300 meter hurdles, and so on. But we're going to start off with the teams who did the best, in my opinion. The first team we're going to talk about individually is Middletown. The 100 meter boys and 200 meter boys, they did really well, as Ani Bernie Green did really well as he clocked in a 1082 in the 100 meter and also broke a state record in the 200 meter, running a 21:19, which is really impressive. He is a senior, so he will be graduated. We will not see him run again, but hopefully he does well at the next college he's at. And also in the 100 meter, we also had Zamir Miller from Middletown. He did really well as he clocked in a 1088, and Amir Jones-Brands, who clocked 11.6. Not bad, as three of those guys were in the top 7 for the 100 meters in the boys' 100 meter finals, which is not bad. And honestly, they all did pretty well, and were all state qualifiers. So yeah, and then the 200 meter, Ani Bernie Green, he was the man himself, and he was on top of everybody for the 200 meter. And then for the boys 400 meter, who did well, or what teams did well? Laurel, Howard, and Dickinson, they all did well, as Ben ran a 48.65 and came third place in the 400 meter. And Suhail Benson, the guy I interviewed, he ran a 48.40, which is not bad. And then Laurel High School's own Khalil Burton, he ran a 47.80 in the 400, which they all did really well. And Hall had really good seasons, especially Suhail and Ben Johnson, which that could possibly be a rivalry in track, as they've been really well and they've been going head to head every year and just absolutely running their butts off. But other than that, Dave did really well in the 400. And for Laurel, I was really surprised with the Khalil Burton running the 47.80 because I've never really heard much about him. But now, since I've seen him run the 400 for the first time, he looked really good, and he is a junior too, so we could possibly see him do it again and go back to back for the 400 meter meet of champs. Next, we are going to be talking about is the 800 meter run, as Sally's did well in St. Mark's, or Sally's Ethan Walter, who is the Notre Dame commit. The senior ended up running a 1 minute 50-second 800, which is pretty solid. I mean, pretty good. And Brian Yeager from St. Mark's High School ran a 151 in the 800. Both did really well. Both had pretty good seasons. They will be graduating. And also Jackson Downing from Tatnall, he was pretty solid as he had a minute and 54, which I don't think is that bad. And other than that, they all ran pretty well and made to the meet of champs. They're all graduating too. So we'll see who will come up on top next year for the 800. And other than that, they did really well themselves. The next meet we're going to be talking about, not the next meet, but the next event we're going to be talking about is the 16 and 3200. We're going to talk about one team who did really well in both, and that was Tatnall High School, as they but they did really well, as Ben Pizzaro from Tatnall ran a 413 in the 1600, and also none other than Gavin Leffer. Leffer. He ended up running a 921 in the 3200, and Luke Kane ran a 9 minute and 28, as they were both top three in the 3200, and Ben Pizzaro was number one in the 1600. They did really well. And then the next thing that we are going to be breaking down too is the 110 meter hurdles and the 300 meter hurdles. One guy that did really well was Ellis Easley, who won the 110 meter hurdles at the meet of champs, running a 1468, and also in the 300 meter hurdles as he ran a 3981. I don't think that's bad, and he also is a senior, and hopefully he does well. They did really well, or he did really well himself, as he really put Laurel, him and Khalil did really well in their meets for Laurel High School. And then the next thing you know, we're going to be talking about the relays, as the 4x1, 4x2, and 4x4, and how well did each team run. As for the 4x1 and 4x2, Middletown did really well. They came in at number one. They also cracked the school record and state record with a 41:34 in the 4x1. And in the 4x2, they ended up running a 1 minute 27 seconds as a team. That's pretty well. Another team who did really well in the relays is Dover High School, who also in the 4x4 ran 3 minutes 19 seconds, having the best time for the 4x4 in Delaware. And then they ran the 4x2, where they also ran a 1 minute 27.44, right behind Middletown, despite struggling in the 4x4. Dover did really well, and Tower Hill too. Also, they was neck and neck with Smyrna until one of the guys, or the last leg for Smyrna, ended up going down with an injury on his hamstring. And other than that, Dover did really well overall, and everyone else did too. And then for the girls 100 meter and 200 meter, Simone Busong from Tatnall ran a really good 100 meter and 200 meter time for the girls Tatnall team, as she ran an 11:98 for the 100 and ran a 24:36 in the 200, which she ended up getting first in both of them, and did really well, as Tatnall's 4x8 team ended up winning. Tatnall did really well in the 400, 800, 1600, and the 3200, as Paddlewood did too themselves, as those two girls track teams did really well during that as a whole, running some solid times. And then during the hurdles, Tatnall and Adriana Montgomery ran a 14:72 in the 100 meter hurdles for the finals. And then Cara Davis from St. Mark's High School ran a 44:78 for the 300 meter hurdle finals, and also did really well. And yeah. And then the next team that did really well in the relays, or the teams that did really well in the relays for the 4x1 and 4x2 was Middletown High School. They did really well as they clocked the 49:30 for the 4x1 as a team, and as a 4x2 they ran 1 minute and 44, or had 1 minute 44 as a team themselves. Not only that, Middletown got number one in the 4x1, which y'all all seen the interview, and then the 4x2 they end up getting top three, and they was doing pretty well. Other than that, though, too, they also did well in the 4x4 as they were also third and finished with 4 minutes, exactly 4 minutes, and wasn't that bad. Another team that did well was Padua, as they did really well in the 4x8, clocking a 9:13 and breaking a school record right off the rip. First meet, or the first, first, not first meet, but the first heat, first official run, they got a 9 minute and 13 seconds in the 4x8, which was a school record right off the rip as soon as I got there. And now we are here to talk about the top three teams that did well for the boys and girls. We already talked about that, but as a whole, as a unit, the top three, in my opinion, the top three teams for the boys that did really well was teams such as Middletown High School, Dover High School, and Dickinson. They all did really well. Also, some honorable mentions was Laurel High School, and also Howard did pretty well. And then for the girls, Middletown, in my opinion, did really well, especially in the sprints, in the 4x1, 4x2. Padua and Tatno, they did really well, especially Tatno in the hurdles and distance, and then Padua in just straight distance. They all did well. Honorable mention was St. Mark's. But with that being said, y'all, thank you guys for enjoying this video. If you guys are new to this channel, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to follow my Barstool page at AT's Barstool. And if you guys want to see more content like this, don't forget to comment and let me know. Other than that, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. I really will see y'all soon. And God bless y'all. And don't forget the summer cast will be coming soon in 2 weeks. So I'll see y'all there too. And other than that, have a nice day.